What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming back at y'all with another week 3 preview, man. And we have such an underrated matchup in Morgantown this weekend. The Hokies are coming to town as a top 15 team. Pusker Stadium is going to be sold out, rocking this weekend, 11 a.m. Central Time on FS1, guys. It should be one of the better games and environments that we see this weekend. And we got so many storylines that could be talked about in this one. The Mountaineers coming in with a 1-1 record after a tough loss to Maryland week 1, bounced back in a big way last week. They are going to have to avoid a losing record before they jump into Big 12 play. A lot of people are kind of wondering how that number 2 through number 5 finish, in the standings in the Big 12 are going to be behind Oklahoma. West Virginia is going to be right in the thick of that. They're going to have to win this game because starting 1-2 for the season would be just abysmal start for them, compared to what it was going to be for the off season. They're going to have to create some momentum for the rest of the season, while the Hokies, on the other hand, have exceeded expectations in the first 2 weeks. They're 2-0, a huge top 10 upset over North Carolina in Blacksburg week 1, set the country on fire. A big win over Middle Tennessee State last week. If the Hokies can get another huge non-conference win this weekend, it would just absolutely jolt them right into the thick of ACC play, where a lot of teams think after Miami struggles, after they beat UNC, that they might be the top threat to Clemson in the ACC this year. So if they get this win, you're going to be talking about the Hokies as arguably the second best team in the ACC. Now, as we get to the keys in the game, let's start with Virginia Tech. The Hokies' key is absolutely to establish the running game and control the time possession, shorten up the game, control the clock, wear the opposing defense down, and keep your defense fresh. That was the recipe for the first 2 weeks of the season. Especially the run game becomes even more important now that their top tight end, James Mitchell, is out for the season. And for me, the key to winning this, I guess, part of the game is the versatility that they showed in their rushing attack due to the wide range of weapons that they possess in the backfield, on the outside, and at quarterback. Against North Carolina, that first drive, they were so versatile in how they ran the ball, how they got the ball out in space. And if they can continue that, replicate that, West Virginia's defense is going to have to step up and find a way to stop it, because UNC could not early in that game. Now, they have multiple running backs who could take a game over. Burmeister can make plays with his legs, and I think he even has some wide receivers where you could do those extended type of run plays like the bubble screens, the tunnel screens, things like that. As long as you can get your playmakers in space with some creative play calling, this Virginia Tech offense can start to roll a little bit. Now, Jalen Holston, Raheem Blackshear are going to be the top 2 main running backs for the Hokies this weekend. They've shown at times, maybe not this year, all the time, especially Blackshear. Blackshear, for me, has to have a breakout game this week. I feel like he's underperformed just a bit for this Virginia Tech team. They have to combine to control the game, move the chains, and find a way to create some explosive plays from the backfield. Now, Holston's had 80 yards and a touchdown, but he's been averaging just about 4 yards per carry. Blackshear, on the other hand, 2 touchdowns, 69 yards, but he's only averaging about 3 yards per carry. That's got to bump up. These guys both have to be averaging 4 to 6 yards per carry this weekend. They have to keep this offense in third and manageable, because in third and long situations, this offense cannot thrive. The play calling gets real limited, and then you put a lot of pressure on your offensive line to protect your quarterback and really stand up in the pocket. And so for me, Virginia Tech's got to run the ball, control the clock, and keep this offense on schedule. If you get behind the chains against this West Virginia defense, you could have some problems. Now, Burmeister has done an excellent job in making plays. Now, he hasn't been outstanding in the passing game, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But this is going to be a very good West Virginia secondary. It last year led the country in yards allowed per game, but they lost a lot of pieces. But there's still a lot of talent on that secondary. So Burmeister has to play one of its best games. He's got to execute. He's got to protect the ball. But also, right now, Burmeister is the leading rusher for the Hokies, over 100 yards, averaging over 5 yards per carry. If he can continue being explosive and dynamic with his legs outside the pocket, this Virginia Tech team gets real complicated to stop. It adds just another wrinkle and another element you have to look for as a defense. So can Burmeister continue being dynamic, in terms of his legs and what he can do to extend the play? Now, that's all my keys for Virginia Tech is just run the ball and get the ball to your playmakers. I mean, you got Trey Turner on the outside. I mean, you have so many weapons. Just make sure you stay in space, you stay in third and manageable. You don't let this game get out of hand and allow West Virginia to play their type of game. Now, the Mountaineers, on their hand, yes, Letty Brown is an amazing running back, 4 touchdowns already this year. But my key is Jared Doege at quarterback and which version of him we get to see in Morgantown, because he has to find a way to avoid turnovers and get the ball to his playmakers as well. With this offense, if you can't stay in that rhythm, it becomes very one-dimensional with Brown on the ground. So you have to protect the ball. You can't get into, second and third and longs. And the turnovers have been a problem for West Virginia. They probably, in my opinion, could have won that game week 1 against Maryland, but turnovers kind of put them behind the 8 ball, and it really cost them that game. Now, if you give Virginia Tech extra possessions, it's really going to hurt you, because that offense, the more opportunities you give it, the more points that you're going to get on the scoreboard, and that is just going to put the Mountaineers at a significant disadvantage. Doege was 61% completion percentage, over 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But the playmakers on the outside are why I picked this. In my opinion, they have 4 extremely talented options on the outside of this offense, where if you get them the ball in space, they can go make a play. Sean Ryan is leading this core right now with 125 yards and a touchdown. But don't forget Sam James, Winston Wright Jr., and Bryce Ford Wheaton. All of those guys have over 100 yards, got multiple catches. James has 2 touchdowns. He's kind of been the go-to guy there. They're going to have a tough task going against a very talented Virginia Tech secondary. So they have to find a way to create separation for Doege in this offense, because if you can't give him high percentage throws, this offense becomes extremely limited. So you have to get him high percentage throws, get this offense in rhythm, and then find a way to take the deep shot later in the game. UNC could not do that whatsoever. Now, the matchup to watch for me, though, is the West Virginia offensive line against the Virginia Tech D-line, because, one, this is going to determine whether the Mountaineers can score enough to put pressure on this talented Virginia Tech offense. And also, it's important to protect Doege, because if he gets pressure on him, he's going to be his internal clock is going to be ticking a lot faster. He's going to put the ball in more danger, and Virginia Tech is going to make the Mountaineers pay with huge turnovers, and this offense is going to stay off balance, and you cannot have that if you're West Virginia. The Virginia Tech defensive line, a statement week 1 against the Tar Heels, in which they absolutely dominated Sam Howell, forced them into 3 turnovers, and had that offense to only 10 points in one of the worst games of Howell's career as a quarterback for UNC. The D-line in 2 games already has 9 sacks, 23 pressures in their first 2 games of the season. And this defense has been so creative in how they bring pressure and disguise pressure. And if they continue disguising their blitz as well and using stunts to keep the offensive line off balance, this West Virginia offensive line is going to get extremely uncomfortable. And that's what they did to UNC week 1. Tywan Garbett and Amari Barno are 2 guys to watch on the edge. Both of them have played major roles in this season thus far in recreating this front 7 for Virginia Tech. Garbett, 2 sacks, 3 pressures. Barno already 1.5 sacks and 4 pressures. They are consistently in the backfield, and they made their mark week 1 and really inspired this defense to play one of its better games against the Tar Heels. Now, the interior pressure is probably going to come for Norrell. I believe it's Norrell Pollard and Mario Kendricks. They're going to play a large part, not only in bringing pressure, but they're the keys in stopping Letty Brown at running back, because if you let Brown get loose, Doege's going to pick you apart off the play action pass. Now, Virginia, West Virginia's offensive line has some potential, especially in the run game, but they've struggled with consistency this year. They'll put together a few drives here and there, but if they don't play, from the kickoff all the way to like clock hit zero, they're going to have a problem if they allow Doji to be under pressure. They've already allowed 5 sacks, 13 pressures over the first 2 games of the season, and the one spot I worry about is edge protection. Brandon Gates at tackle has been one of the lowest graded offensive linemen in the country with only a 37.6 pass blocking grade. He's got to play better because this Virginia Tech defensive line, their strengths are on the edge. And if they can get to the quarterback from the edge, this defense is going to be flowing. They're going to play, a lot. They're going to put 8 guys in coverage and they're going to bring 3 guys. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to be disguising their blitzes. They're going to be using stunts. And this entire offensive line is going to fall apart. If you can't protect the edge against Virginia Tech, it's going to be a long day for you. Now, the Mountaineers have to allow Doji to settle in the game, and finding ways to make him more comfortable by not allowing pressure is a huge key for this game, and that's why this matchup was picked for me. But on the flip side, if Virginia Tech can consistently get pressure, make Doji feel them, even by not getting sacks, but make him feel them every single play by getting hits, by getting pressures, I expect turnovers to become a problem in this game and West Virginia's offense to really struggle. Now, this game being in Morgantown plays a bit of a role for me, even though it's a morning kickoff. I think West Virginia and Virginia Tech start out slow early. I could see this being a very low-scoring game in the first half. But for me, I think Virginia Tech has too many playmakers. I think they forced Doji into, 1 or 2 interceptions that are really the difference in the game. I expect this to come down to a late fourth quarter battle. But right now, I'm going to have to take the Hokies 24-21 over the West Virginia Mountaineers. A very close game, and one that I think could go a long way in determining both these teams' futures in their respective conferences, because this is really that momentum game in week 3 right before we get into the thick of conference play. So I got the Hokies by 3 points, 24-21. Guys, hit that subscribe button. Join the Bluebloods. We got the best content on YouTube, especially regarding college football, so you won't regret that. Also, take some time now. Comment below your score predictions and your thoughts on the game, man. I love to get back with y'all and interact in the comments with y'all. So I would appreciate all that. Hit that subscribe button. But guys, this was our last week 3 preview of the week. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for some recaps, and also Sunday our instant reaction show is live at 11 o'clock in the morning Central Time. So make sure to tune into that as well. And make sure to go check out all our other week 3 content that we've been dropping since, I believe, Tuesday, man. So we got so much content coming out. And again, hit that subscribe button. But for right now, guys, the Bluebloods are out.